Welcome back to the DSR channel. This is day 87, 87 days since I uploaded the first video, and that's a crazy thing today because it seems like both longer and shorter than that. And I just finished just now, as of right now, as of this recording, I have finished catching up on every comment, at least every top level comment. I don't think I've hit every reply. Like YouTube doesn't help us with that. So I probably missed a bunch of those, but I've read every top level comment now and probably replied to every one of them. And I'm constantly surprised about how much I love interacting with the community. Right? I did not expect to enjoy that part of it, but it is awesome. I love when people, whether you're correcting me for things I, had a brain fart on, or you're, calling out things I missed, or calling out things that maybe I thought of, but I just didn't include it in the video. You're adding to it. That's all awesome stuff. Love it. Keep doing that. It makes me better, and I love learning. Right? That's and I love being part of the community. And I love seeing everybody's passion for all of this, right? That is so much fun. Frankly, and I mean this sincerely, I think being a YouTuber and doing this would be extremely boring. I would not enjoy this if it were not for the community interaction. So thank you all. Um, but I have to say, there was a few comments that were kind of on the line. Okay, guys. And when I say be cool and you're playing D&D with other people, I mean be cool in the comments too. Okay, that's a form of playing D&D, right? Us talking about it, us expressing our passions and things like that. And I think it's fine to say things, when you're talking about an action, right? That thing I'm disappointed about, right? That thing turned out badly. I think they missed the mark on that thing. I'm frustrated about this. I'm disappointed about that. I think that's fine. That's fair, right? But when it turns personal, and people say they hate WotC, or they think the designers are incompetent, or they're dumb, or you reply to somebody's comment and belittle them, that's across the line, okay? So please don't do that, all right? This is not a place for that kind of stuff. This is not a place for people venting negativity and hatred and anger. I mean, I get you're frustrated. It's okay to say you're frustrated about this, you're bummed about that, but do not cross the line, please. I want this, and when I talk about my Discord server or the games I play, and my my community on the YouTube videos, I want it to be a safe place where everybody feels welcome and enjoys being here and talking about their passion and participating in their passion that is D&D. So there was one comment that is right on the line from yesterday, guys. At least one that I caught. So if it's on the line and it could be interpreted, either as yes, that was a personal attack on somebody, or maybe it was something else. I'll ask you to clarify to give you a chance. But if you're straight up, call somebody dumb or belittle them directly or make personal attacks, I'm just going to ban you from my channel, which is probably a dumb thing for a YouTuber to say or do, I guess. I don't know. But I'd rather have one less subscriber than people here making everyone else uncomfortable with your hatred, personal attacks, negativity. Okay. So everybody, I know we get passionate, and that's one of the awesome things about this. We're all passionate about it. And it's a double-edged sword, passion, right? When we're upset about something, we're disappointed about something, that passion can manifest as like very heated, anger and stuff. I get it. Try to rein it in, try to keep this place safe for everyone. Because it's a game. This is a game. It's for fun. This is not a place to be belittling people or putting people down. We're not making massive, you know, nation impacting decisions, right? It's just a game. Okay. Nobody should be getting attacked for a game. Okay. That's not okay. All right. That's enough. Let's get into species. I'm sorry. I'll put in timestamps so you can skip that if you don't care. But if you're the one who made that comment, I think you know who you are. Rein it in. Okay. Rein it in. Okay. So let's go over the species from the new book that just came out yesterday, Eberron, Forge of the Artificer. They have 5 species. 4 of them are updates. One is technically new. It's mechanically new. Lore-wise, it's not new. Okay. Um, and 2 of the ones that are updated, 2 of them are from Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. So I'm going to bring up those versions to compare to these new versions. And then 2 of them have not been updated since Eberron Rising from the Last War. So I'm going to bring up those species from that book and compare them to this book. Okay. So first up, we have the Changeling. I am not going to read through all the lore and flavor text of it because this is just a mechanical review right now. But I do recommend, this is general, I'm not going to repeat this for every species, but they are clearly going lore minimalist now, at least this year, right? But it seems like they're going lore minimalist now since 2024. And maybe it's because they've already printed a lot of the lore, so they don't want to just reprint the lore, which is kind of a waste of pages, which I get. Or maybe there's other reasons. Um, but for role play, we need at least some lore. And I'm speaking as a mechanical guy, right? I'm a data analytical mechanics. That's my nature. Um, and so perhaps people like me, we rely on the lore and the art even more, right? Because that's what helps inspire me and give me ideas for role play. Like I need that more. I can't generate that myself nearly as well as the creative types. Um, so I still recommend looking at the lore from the older books, especially both of the Eberron books, the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron and Eberron Rising from the Last War. Those books have excellent lore. Okay, and so if you want to like understand the soul and heart of the species that you're going to play, go read that. In fact, I would still, if you want to understand the heart and soul of the Artificer and these subclasses and just all kinds of things, going on, go back and read the lore from those books. That'll help inspire you. And even though maybe you find the mechanics of the Artificer or its subclasses or something disappointing, you can still have a great time by leaning into the role play, and nothing helps you more with the role play than understanding a bit about the lore, right? Go and read about that from those books. That'll make a world of difference and could make something that otherwise might be mechanically a little disappointing a ton of fun because you just lean into the role play. Okay. All right. So we're going to skip down to the mechanics here because I'm just comparing mechanics. And I'm going to call this out for this one, but I'm not going to redo it for every one of these, which is they did change between 2014 version of species and the 2024 version of species. They took the ability score increases off of the species and put it on the backgrounds now. So I'm not going to go over that. You just ignore that part every time I go through them because I'm not going to reiterate that again. Um, so here we have the Changeling. It is a Fey creature type, so they kept that. You can be medium or small. They kept that. Your movement speed is 30 feet. They kept that. You gain 2 proficiencies, which they kept: deception, insight, intimidation, performance, persuasion. Okay, which is great. Not a lot of species give you 2 skill proficiencies yet in 2024. I think the cap right now is like 1. If you get 1, it's 1. Like the human has 1, the elf has 1. I think I may be missing 1 or 2 there, but you kind of, I think most of them give you just 1 right now. Maybe one of the Lorwyn ones give you 2. I can't remember. Okay, but so 2 is great, and they're all face type skills. So if you want to lean into being the face role, just choosing this species is going to give you a lot of the package you need, or really help you with that package, especially if you're a class that doesn't have access to these skills, right? Someone like like the Artificer is a good example. Has none of these. They might have insight. Maybe insight, I think, is the only one they have. They don't have deception, intimidation, performance, or persuasion. And depending on how your DM plays it, performance is either awesome, like a very, very useful and useful skill, or it's completely worthless and never called for. I use it all the time. Performance comes up at least once a session, even during combat. Yep, even during combat. So depends on your DM. Maybe talk to them before you make your choices on those skills. All right, then you have this shapeshifter feature, and it's mostly the same. You can kind of change yourself, the appearance superficially, kind of like, let's consider it like a disguise self spell on that order of change, right? You can't make yourself into a different, arrangement of limbs. You can't have more limbs than you used to have. You still have to be, bipedal, um, say stuff like that. But you get a little more flexibility than the disguise self spell. You can actually change your size between medium and small, so you're not stuck with whatever you chose when you first picked this race. You can switch between medium and small. And also, it's not an illusion like disguise self, which is important, right? If somebody touches you, they're not going to immediately know that you've changed. It is a physical change. The change itself doesn't give you any, let's say, specifically mechanical changes or benefits in any way other than your size changing, well, and your weight, which might be important, right? Um, but it's very, very good role play, and they give you some really awesome suggestions for the role play in that text of above of the changeling in this one. Like, I really especially love the part where um, they create personas, right? A changeling could create a persona and then pass it down to their next generation, so that their child, they teach this persona to the child, and the child takes it over at some point and continues the persona. And to everybody else in the world, it's the same person. but it's actually a different changeling now who has adopted that persona and is carrying it on with the next generation. Very cool stuff, right? So I encourage you to read that, lean into the role play. It's fun. But they did add something here mechanically that is worth, and it's just, they kind of like buried it. It's like a sub, it's not even a bullet point. It's like a sub clause kind of after the shape changer thing is described. They call it shapeshifter now instead of shape changer. Um, and, but it's huge. You just, while you're shapeshifted, which is pretty much all the time, the only time you're not shapeshifted is when you kind of look like that bland gray white hair featureless version. That's your default version. So as long as you don't look like that, you look like anything else, you have advantage on all charisma checks. All charisma checks, not just what skills you're proficient in, just all charisma checks all the time, which is a huge benefit. Now, it's not OP. I know some people might think, oh my gosh, that's OP. Guys, enhance ability is a second level spell, and it gives you this for 1 hour. Okay, so it's a second level spell. You're getting the ability of a second level spell. Yes, it's infinite duration, but nobody has ever claimed that enhance ability is OP. I've never heard anybody say that. I think it's very good. I like to take it. I suggest people take it, but I don't know. I mean, I've rarely seen players cast it. So enhance ability is not OP. And if you don't think that's OP, then this is not OP. It's just fine. It's cool. It's thematic. And again, doubles down on if you want to be the face, this is really going to help you be the face of the party. So I like it. Kalashtar. And yes, that is apparently how you pronounce it. I've been saying Kalashtar this for years, and then I read this yesterday in this book, and it's pronounced Kalashtar, and I'm still not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but maybe I'm closer now. And yeah, linguistics is like one of my hobbies. Is a kind of a minor passion of mine. I love linguistics, and therefore to me, it's important to say things right. So I love these pronunciation guides. They've started putting pronunciation guides in a lot of the adventure books when the adventure book is kind of based on some sort of like other culture, and therefore it's got words from these other cultures. Like Icewind Dale has a lot of stuff that's based on like Inuit, Native American tribes and the other Native American tribes from the north there, and so they've got words from those languages. I didn't know where those words came from, but one of my players is actually from there, knows some Inuit, knows a fair bit of Inuit, and was telling me, oh yeah, no, that's this and that and that, and that just translates that. It's Inuit words, which was freaking awesome for me. I mean, I don't know if everyone else geeks out about it. Probably most people don't, like me, but I think it's cool. And so I love that they have these pronunciation guides, so I can at least try to pronounce these words correctly, even if nobody knows what they are. Even, yeah, at least we all learned a little bit, right? Which is one of the things I love about D&D. There are so many cultural things that we know about other cultures that we wouldn't have known without D&D. Okay, you may not realize that's from another culture, but many things in D&D are based on mythology, cultural, aspects from other cultures, and you probably had no idea until maybe you encounter that culture and they're talking about this thing. You're like, you actually are familiar with that because of D&D, which is one of the things I think is awesome about D&D. Right? It is broadening our diversifying our understanding of other people and cultures, which is a hugely awesome thing. Okay, all right, stop soapboxing. Okay, Kalashtar. Let's go down to the traits. Here we go. Yeah, and they're getting really efficient with these traits. Okay, so your size is medium. That's the same. Your walking speed is 30. That's the same. Dual and the lore for these are the same, but very cool, right? If you didn't know, Kalashtar are like a regular humanoid, maybe a human. I think most often, but not always, who are kind of like bonded with a spirit from the dream world, the plane of dreams. So they're kind of like these two creatures that are like bonded together. Awesome lore. Okay, back to the mechanics. Dual mind. So they enhanced it. You used to have advantage on all wisdom saving throws. Now you have advantage on all wisdom and charisma saving throws, which is cool. Like it's a small bump. It's a small increase. Not a huge thing to get advantage on charisma saving throws, but when you make a charisma saving throw, you're gonna enjoy it. So it is a benefit. It is an improvement, and I think it makes a lot of thematic sense for this, right? Charisma is about one of the major aspects of charisma is about having like a strong personality, a strong sense of identity, right? And so when you're making a charisma saving throw, it's usually because something is attacking your sense of self, right? Attacking your sense of your self-confidence, attacking your identity. And so you're two creatures bonded together. So you have a much stronger sense of self and identity than others. And this leans into that. which I love. Very cool. Um, Mental discipline, resistance to psychic damage, identical. No change there. Mind link, they shortened the words and the text, but basically the same. Um, which, by the way, is a much greater range of telepathy than the Scion, or at least the current version of the Scion in the UA, which bothers me. The Scion should be the preeminent telepath, and especially the telepath subclass. They have 60-foot range of telepathy. The base Scion has 30 feet, the Scion has 60 feet, and a 6th level Kalashtar has 60 feet. So at level 7, a Kalashtar is now better at telepathy than the telepath Scion. All right. It's not a big mechanical deal. It's like it hurts my soul. Okay. All right. More or less identical. Severed from Dreams, they shortened this one and kind of weakened it a little bit, which is unfortunate. Well, they weakened it in one way and enhanced it in another way, right? So you're like immune to the dream spell. So it has this whole thing about you're immune to spells and other magical effects that require you to dream, but not to other magical effects that put you to sleep. So you can still be put to sleep, but you're immune to anything that deals with dream. Whereas now they just said you can't be the target of a dream spell, which is right now more or less the same. But what if they come out with other spells, or third party partners create spells that deal with dreams and things like that, and nightmares? Um, and now technically, explicitly, those aren't affected by this, right? Just having that clause that says, well, it's other things like dream, not specifically just the dream spell. So that's unfortunate, but I think it's, DMs, I recommend you should, like, this is such a niche feature and very thematic. I would just say anytime something nightmarish or dream related happens, just make the Kalashtar immune. Just let them have it. Just to make it a little cooler. That's going to be a really awesome moment that happens once a campaign, maybe. All right, let them have it. Okay, but they enhanced it with something that's going to be more useful way more often, which is when you finish a long rest, you gain a proficiency in a skill of your choice, and it lasts until you finish another long rest. But if you don't change it, then it just lasts forever, right? So you just get one skill proficiency, which you can move around, which is very nice. So overall, I mean, not overall. They basically overall they added several enhancements here, which is great. There is technically that one small loss, which is the dream thing doesn't apply to other magical effects, but DMs just hand wave that. Okay, just that's my advice. Khoravar. Since this one doesn't have anything mechanically to compare it to, I'm just going to go full screen on this one. But I'm also going to read the lore text. It's not a lot, but mechanically, this is a brand new species. Okay, not lore-wise, not new at all lore-wise. Okay. Khoravar. Over the course of centuries, those descended from both humans and elves have developed their own communities and traditions in Khorvaire. The rise of House Lyrander and House Medani, hope I'm saying those right, has strengthened this identity. Many of these communities call themselves Khoravar, an elvish term meaning children of Khorvaire, as they dislike the term half-elf, which is fair. Many Khoravar espouse the idea of being the bridge between bring the bridge between believing they are called to facilitate communication and cooperation between members of different cultures or species. Khoravar, who follow this philosophy, often become bards, diplomats, mediators, or translators. Others, fascinated by their distant connection to the Fae, seek to build bridges between the material plane and the Feywild of Thelanis. These Khoravar often become druids or warlocks with the Archfey patrons. So, very good flavor text. I like it. Traits. It's a humanoid, medium, or small. You can choose. 30-foot movement speed. As a Khoravar, you have these traits. You've got dark vision, 60 feet. You have Fey ancestry, so you have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charmed condition. Fey gift. This is new. The Friends cantrip, which if you stop right there, that's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. However, when you finish a long rest, you can replace this cantrip with a different cantrip from the cleric, druid, or wizard spell list. Intelligence, wisdom, or charisma is your spellcasting ability for the spell you cast with this trait. Choose when you select the species. So suddenly this is like what the high elf used to get, where it was just that cantrip. I mean, they still have this ability, but they got more spells. But the old high elf, just their major feature was just getting one cantrip, and it was just a wizard cantrip. This is like that, but on steroids, right? You can choose cleric, druid, or wizard. They're the only cleric's cantrip that's like really worth getting if you don't have it is guidance, in my opinion. That one's well worth this. Druid though, they have guidance, but they also have Starry Wisp, which is actually pretty good. It's got that secondary effect that is quite useful. And then other than those, I mean, Thorn Whip might be one you really want to get to. Produce Flame is nice from the Druid spell list because it's both a light spell, it's like the slightly weaker version of the light cantrip, plus an attack cantrip. So it's got multiple purposes, multi-use there. Other than that, the Wizard spell list is probably, cantrip spell list is probably better. Um, but I mean, Thaumaturge from the Cleric spell list, if you just use it, it gives you advantage on Charisma Intimidation ability checks. And if you want to be intimidating people a lot, cool way to go. So there's some nice options there. All right. Lethargy or Lethargy Resilience. When you fail a saving throw to avoid or end the unconscious condition, you can succeed instead. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish 1d4 long rests. So this is interesting, brand new and unique. Like we've never seen anything like this before. So it's legendary resistance against the unconscious condition specifically, which the sleep spell causes. And there's a number of things that can cause it, a few different spells that can cause it. Sleep is probably the most common one you'll see. Some monsters, stat blocks, can do this as well. Like, I want to say the gold dragon, doesn't it have a sleep? Like one of the dragons has like a sleep breath, and that causes the unconscious condition as well. So, or at least they used to. I haven't checked every single 2024 stat block. So that's useful. It's kind of niche. It's not going to come up, probably not every session, but once in a while it'll come up. And because it's so rare, guys, this was just totally unnecessary. Like, don't make the player track, like, oh, roll a die. Oh, I need to wait 3 long rests. Now I need to track the time. Has it been 3 days in the game? Oh, now I can do it again, right? I would just hand wave that and say it's once per long rest, because it's extremely unlikely that it's going to come up again in 2 or 3 days, right? It's probably going to be another week before it comes up, or 2 weeks in game, or some long period of time in game time before they're faced with the unconscious condition again. So it's just not going to matter. And frankly, this isn't powerful enough to justify that level of paperwork. So that's not that's not rules as written, but that's what I recommend. Okay, just make things like, I'm all about reducing paperwork, right? This is a game, not a job. We should reduce paperwork whenever possible. Okay. And finally, skill versatility. You gain proficiency in one skill or with one tool of your choice. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace it with another skill or tool proficiency. All right. So historically, like in 2014, I would have said the fact that the tool choice is one of your options, even though I do play with tools and, um, do what I can to make them useful, I would still say a skill is far more useful than a tool proficiency. However, in 2024, all magic item crafting is based on tool proficiency, right? And you need that tool proficiency while you're crafting the item. And items take 1 or more days to craft, right? Most of them. There is a way to get, a healing potion down to 4 hours if you are an alchemist artificer and you have the herbalism toolkit proficiency, which the alchemist artificer does. So the alchemist artificer can make a common level healing potion in 4 hours. And if you're an elf who completes a long rest in 4 hours, which means you got 4 more hours of sitting around waiting for everybody else to finish sleeping, yep, you can crank out a healing potion every single day, waiting for everybody else to finish sleeping. Rules is written, and I would totally allow it. I mean, your DM may not allow it or doesn't play with magic item crafting, but I do, and I totally allow that. There's not a lot of ways to get benefits from that elf trait of trance, and that's one of them. I would totally allow it. Elf, Artificer, Alchemist. Go nuts. Okay. But the fact that you can move this around means you are, as long as you get the Arcana skill proficiency through some other means, you always have, then you can use this to just switch your tool proficiency to anything you need to craft any magic item. And then when you're done crafting, that night, switch it back to whatever you need to the skill you want for adventuring. This is actually super good. Super good. You don't need to worry about getting all these tool proficiencies to craft all these items you want. You can just craft anything. Now you can only craft, one type of thing per day, but you're generally not crafting more than once per day unless you're the alchemist artificer. So awesome. I love this one. It's great. Very cool. I was wondering how they were going to make a half elf mechanically unique and different. And they did. So nice. It's a little bit weaker than other I would say a little bit weaker than other species, but it's just a little bit, not enough that you should care. All right, totally fine, lots of fun. Shifter. This is one I always loved, and I think is underrepresented. Like people don't use it enough. I don't know why. It's great. I love the idea, and they've made some nice improvements to the mechanics, which is great. Also, talk about an art upgrade, right? That art from this new book, way better than every previous version of art that we've gotten for this thing. And maybe I just haven't been exposed to all the potential art out there for this, but certainly the base art with the associated with these species mechanics that we've gotten previously was fine, but never great. And now it's awesome. Like many of the others, there's some really great lore here in the older books that they didn't repeat, right? So there, it talks about, who's your ancestor? Is it a werebear? Blah, 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 give you suggestions. Like there's nothing mechanically that says you have to associate beast hide with werebear, but it's just cool to think about what kind of lycanthrope, are you descended from, or how did you get this kind of become in this state, which could be a minor curse on you, or you're descended from somebody who's cursed with it. Or I think you could even be descended from somebody who was like a druid who just spent too much time wild shaping and then it affected them and then it affected their offspring. Lots of cool ideas. So don't skimp on the lore that you can get from the older books. Um, like they're very lore minimalist now, which is maybe fine. All right. So you're a humanoid still. You can now be medium or small. Before you could be medium only. Your movement speed is 30, same. Bestial instincts, this is the same. Choose one of these skills. You gain proficiency in it. Acrobatics, athletics, intimidation, survival. It's the exact same list as before, which is cool. You get 60 feet dark vision, which they've shortened by making this like a special term that you can look up the rule for in the glossary of the player's handbook. So I love that they're not repeating all of this text every time. Like I love getting rid of repeated text just to shorten things up. Then we get into shifting, which is the primary feature of this whole species. Okay, so shifting. There we go. As a bonus action, you can shapeshift to assume a more bestial appearance. It lasts 1 minute. You gain temporary hit points. It was equal to 2 times your proficiency bonus, which is the same. You get proficiency bonus number of uses per day, which refresh after a long rest. So that's all identical. Beast Hide, 1d6 temporary hit points while shifted, plus 1 AC. That's identical. Longtooth, this is the same. So when you shift as a bonus action and as a bonus action on other turns, you can attack with the fangs, which is the change here is they call it an unarmed strike now. So which I think is the first time we've seen a species in 2024 that has like what would have previously been called a natural weapon attack, and they've gotten rid of that term natural weapon and are now replacing it with something else and either not addressing it at all. But this is the first time they address it directly and head on, which is they're calling it an unarmed strike. Okay, so now it's an unarmed strike, and if you hit it with it, you can deal piercing damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier, and instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike, which is the same. That part's the same. And Swift Stride, your speed increases by 10, and you get a 10-foot reaction to move when a creature ends its turn within 5 feet of you, and that reaction doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. That's identical. And then Wild Hunt. While shifted, you have advantage of wisdom checks. Probably should say wisdom ability checks. I don't know. Wisdom checks. Additionally, no creature within 30 feet of you have advantage on an attack roll against you unless you have the incapacitated condition, which all that's identical. I do wish they'd said ability checks. I know that there's times, and there's players that come up once in a while. They're like, oh, it says check, not ability check. Does that mean it applies to wisdom saving throws and attacks with wisdom if I can make an attack with wisdom? And no, it's not. Check specifically refers to an ability check, and in this case, one extra word is better to reduce confusion than saving space. And I don't think that they saved space. I think it was an oversight in the previous one, and they just copy and pasted it for this one, is my guess. So Shifter, more or less identical to the way it was before. A few word clarifications, and I still like it. I think it's cool. Very flavorful, and it might be because I really freaking love moon druids and the idea of shape shifting, and I always like the idea of like the partial shift, like being, half animal but still a biped humanoid shape. I love that too, and I keep hoping that they're going to create a druid subclass that is like a werewolf, right? You don't shapeshift into a beast, you shapeshift into a werewolf, and that is your wild shape. They had one of those in second edition. I don't know if it was like in the game of second edition, but they had it in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which was based on second edition D&D, and that was, I mean, I love the idea. It wasn't super powerful, but it was super cool flavor, and I would love to see them put that into the fifth edition. But not yet. Anyway, this is as close as we get. Partial shifting. I love it. Warforged. All right. This one was always cool. I love the idea. I love the fantasy. I love the art for it. And the art for it was always on, always fire, man. It was great. And the new art, I wouldn't say is better. Like it's still great art, right? This one was always great. New art, great. But what I like with the new art is the old art always showed or usually showed the artificer and as some sort of combatant, which made sense because that's why they were created, right? They are literally called Warforged because they were mechanical beings created to fight in the last war, right? Rising from the last war. So it makes sense that we have a lot of that kind of art. But I love that we now have art also depicting them not necessarily as a combatant. And like I love that this guy's just standing there with a backpack, right? Which is very evocative, right? A lot of inspiration there because these are a new species of being that were created through magic. But now the war's over and they are independent thinking creatures. So they're all like trying to find their way in the world and figure out like, what is my purpose now? Because I was created for war and the war's done. I can still fight. I have that ability, but what is my purpose in life? And what do I want my purpose in life to be? What do I want my identity to be? So they're like discovering that. And art, I mean, like I said, I'm a mechanical guy. Art that helps me envision that is hugely, hugely helpful, right? So I really love and appreciate the non-analytical creative types, right? I love you all out there. You help me be better at role play and just make my world enriched, because otherwise my world would just be numbers and mechanics, which is useful but soulless. All right, come on, guys. Mechanics are soulless. I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh of a thing to say, but that's how I see it. Okay, Warforged, very very cool. I've seen more players pick Warforged than anything else, and yeah, minimal lore here. So don't skip on this. This has got ideas for like your personality, talking about describing what you're made out of, how you were constructed, what your construction purpose was, and then reconciling that with what you want your identity to be, and then also quirks, right? Personality quirks, names, right? This is role play gold right here, guys. So don't skip over this and not just like blow through it and just. It's never good when you think of your character as just a bag of mechanics, okay? Because that will reduce the role play you do, probably, maybe not always. Maybe you're a creative type, okay? And then you don't need that help at all, okay? But we mechanicals, we definitely need that help. And as I do everything on my channel, it's all about good enough mechanics and good enough role play, right? That's the I'm not gonna say it's a sweet spot because you can always go more. You can always go more, but at least you want to be good enough on both, and then you're having a really fun game playing with other people, right? Okay, so don't miss that stuff. Let's go down to the mechanics. Here we go. So so there's a big change here in that your creature type changed. Where's the creature type? I'm sorry, as I'm scrolling around here. Why are they not showing it? You used to be treated as a humanoid. I'm sorry, I'm not finding it on the old version, but yeah, it used to be humanoid. Now you're a construct, which is the way it should have been, which is great. They couldn't really do that. I mean, they did it with the auto gnome, right? The problem with construct before was that all of the healing spells said that they didn't do anything to constructs and undead, so you couldn't heal constructs and undead. So they couldn't make somebody a construct without giving it a feature, which is what they did with the auto gnome. Auto gnomes are constructs, and they gave it a feature that says, well, despite being a construct, you can still be healed by healing spells. So they had the species itself just had a feature to overcome that. In 2024, they removed that from all of the healing spells, so you can just heal an undead or a construct, no problem. Which means that opens the door for like a species that's undead, which would be cool. I totally think we should do that. That would be awesome and unique. All right, but we're talking about the Warforged. 30-foot movement speed, which is the same as it was before. They have these weird calculations for your size and weight and height. Unnecessary. Just choose what you think makes the most sense and is the most fun. Constructed resilience, your first feature. Okay, so you have advantage. You're resistant to poison damage. You have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the poison condition, which is great. You had that before. Excuse me. These parts. So disease is mechanically removed from the game. There's no longer references to disease, and anything that causes a disease. And let's say use the term disease in role play because something can say it's causing a disease. Mechanically, what it does is it causes the poison condition. So it's just all implemented through the poison condition now, except for this clause or this chapter in the Dungeon Master's Guide which says magical contagion. So there's such a thing as magical contagions, and that's still a thing, and they are different from being poisoned, and they have a lot of different debuffs and effects that are not poisoned. So you can still have a magical contagion. That's a little confusing, I think. All right. You don't need to eat, breathe, drink, or breathe. You don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep. So they changed that a bit here with tireless. You don't gain exhaustion levels from dehydration, malnutrition, or suffocation. So there you go. You can eat, drink, and breathe, but if you're unable to, it doesn't affect you. Okay. Sentry's rest. You don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep. So they moved that section down there, but mechanically the same. Sentry's rest. You complete a long rest in 6 hours, and you remain conscious during that time. You just have to be motionless. So that's identical. Integrated protection. They simplified this. Okay, so they got rid of all of this kind of stuff where I talked about how you like takes you an hour and then you like your body is like absorbing the armor into it and now it becomes part of you, which is cool and thematic. And I would still use that during role play whenever I'm gonna, if it ever comes up, you're gonna describe how you're suiting up. Which when you find new armor is a good opportunity to do that. Like I would role play that, but they just got rid of the mechanics of it, which I think is fine because there was a lot of overhead and almost never mattered, right? So now they just simplified it and said you gain +1 bonus to your armor class. In addition, any armor you're wearing can't be removed while you're alive. Can't be removed against your will while you're alive. Fine, nice and simple. I like it. And in specialized design, you gain 1 skill proficiency and 1 tool proficiency of your choice. Identical. That's the same. And the languages, they just revamped how they do languages in general for everybody. So for every species. So that doesn't even apply anymore. And there you go. That's all the species in this book. Remember, be cool with everybody when you play D&D and in the comments. All right. 99.9% of you all are awesome and have been wonderful. Thank you. Keep it up. That 0.1% out there, guys, rein it in. And have fun. This is a game. That's what it's for. Catch you next time.